Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Hughs from the Long Island Advocate, and here today I have with me Mr. Dennis Buchanan, the founder of the Long Island Gaming League. So, how are you doing today, Mr. Buchanan?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I like that the weather is starting to warm up a little bit, so that's got me in the up spirits right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely got a few people in the up spirits. Spring is really starting to kick in.
Oh yeah.
So, I wanted to kind of just get right into your organization, the Long Island Gaming League. So, can you please explain why you decided to found the Long Island Gaming League and
Sure.
how it differs from other gaming leagues?
Absolutely. So the reason why we started to, or the reason why I started to found the Long Island Gaming League was I was working with students out of the STEM program, and I was helping them with how to develop certain initiatives that they were doing for STEM academics. So from there, I was just like, wow, these guys are really smart. And one of the topics of video games had came up, and they were just really into it. So just being that, I like to work with kids and I seen that the industry was really growing up or growing, I noticed that the driving force behind the industry was the youth, but the beneficiaries of that were kind of like the big companies and the big organizations, and nobody's really letting the youth know of the opportunities that are coming their way, that they can kind of access. So from that perspective and just kind of having a overarching look, I decided to create the Long Island Gaming League to really try to educate the youth as they kind of grow into this industry, that they don't burn out just by playing video games, that they're really able to benefit from the industry because it's only going to get bigger.
Totally, I totally agree, and I look forward to it getting bigger because I think it's a really huge and fun scene to get into. So, kind of, you explained how or why you kind of got into this
What makes us different?
organization. Yeah, so like, what makes it different? Yeah.
So, what makes us different is in regards to when we first started getting into the realm. A lot of the esports organizations, they were either tournament based, they were collegiate, whether it's schools. None of them really were educational based, and it's just because of the misunderstanding between the educators and the esports. So it was like a huge disconnect. So we just kind of said, okay, well, we don't want to compete with tournaments. That's not what we do. We want to kind of go a different route and cater to the other aspects of esports, which is the business educational aspect of it. So that was one of the things that we specifically wanted to make sure we set ourselves apart from other esports leagues. And again, when you think of a league, you'll generally think of a whole bunch of teams play against each other tournament style. Our league doesn't represent that. Although we do have that component, our league has the community aspect of any other league, but with an educational basis, not just a competitive basis.
Okay, interesting. So that kind of leads me into my next question, which you kind of touched on, which is like your mission as the Long Island Gaming League. So can you maybe touch on a little bit more of like what your mission is and how you guys work to like achieve this mission of kind of like educating people of in esports?
Okay. So our mission for the Long Island Gaming League is to bring casual and competitive gamers together for, overall fun, right? That's what the industry has been based on. That's what is made to be able to stand the test of time. Video gaming, esports, it's not anything new. We used to do it as a pastime when we were younger before it was this big thing. But it really kept everyone together. And seeing that, we didn't want our league, or we didn't want the industry or the ones who were building this industry to lose sight of that. It wasn't just all about how much money this person can make or that person can make, but more about if you had the opportunity to be a star of the NFL and you knew the NFL was going to be as big as it was, you'd probably pay a little bit more attention to it because you see how successful it has become. Well, esports was the same thing. So our mission is to make sure that we can educate as many parents, students, casual gamers as much as possible about the real opportunities that are out there, so they can either do this as a casual passion or they can pursue it in a career, whether it be being the best video gamer or a career working in the game industry or outside of the game industry and using esports as a big networking opportunity. And that's kind of our mission and our goal, to make sure we're able to facilitate that here on Long Island, first and foremost. But if we're able to branch out to other areas, then we'd like to be able to do that as well.
Wow, that sounds like a really unique way of like approaching esports. Most people just, especially in America, just think about them as games, but I think it's really cool that you're kind of like trying to almost change the culture around video games and like how people approach them and think about them. Um, so, so can you explain like what you guys do within the realm of esports, like the tournaments you guys put on, maybe like how you guys educate these people,
Sure.
these students on the business opportunities?
Sure. So I guess you would say there's kind of two aspects. One is our tournament. And our tournaments are just generally casual games. Sometimes you might have pro players, sometimes you might have really casual players. Before everything was shut down, we used to have events at local breweries. So, and this was more for the older gamer or the one who had maybe missed their hurrah to compete, but they still like to be able to have that environment where they could play with their friends. And it would be a free event. We would set up TVs and big projectors. They would just kind of come out, game, have some drinks, eat some food. And it was a great, it was a real great experience. And that's kind of how we wanted to, as far as an event, separate ourselves from maybe going to a land center. We wanted it to
Mhm.
be a community fun, casual thing. Then outside of that, what we were doing is, since we already had a relationship with one of the schools, we developed a esports curriculum. And it's about 23 different workshops. And those
That's very cool.
workshops go in depth as far as the history of esports, how to produce an event, how to cast, how to market, how to manage a team, and a lot of different aspects that are in the esports arena that most of these students don't even realize. And then from a career perspective, is that we've built relationships with local companies, both that are major esports organizations and organizations that utilize or can see the skill set. As far as, if you're a coder doesn't mean you just have to be a video game. But if you're into that, you could code anything. Mathematics, so there's a lot of different things. And if you look at esports closely enough, you'll probably be able to find an interest within a student that has something that they can relate to. And the big thing that we think esports is about, it's the relatability and then opening up the conversation and the dialogue. So those would be the three things that we would kind of say is job opportunities, tournaments, whether it be online or in person, and then also the educational aspect for the youth to be able to take that to go and further their education in college.
That's really incredible. Like having a curriculum around esports. I've never heard of that, but that is so cool. I wish I had that. Um, so, kind of like we are talking about video games. So, are there any specific video games you guys use or you guys kind of go to for the Long Island Gaming League, or does it just depend on like what's kind of popular at the moment?
Um, we're still trying to cater to what the demographic here on Long Island wants. We do have games in mind, like we run a Madden tournament, which is a bi-weekly, NBA 2K. Some of our players do play Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty. I personally like to play Apex Legends. So we do tend to go where the audience is taking us. Ideally, we want to get more into the games that we think have the most opportunity for like for the long-term longevity of playing this game. Whether what colleges offer this, this sport. Some of them may not do Minecraft, but they may do Overwatch, right? So we want to make sure that, hey, if they're doing Overwatch, we want to have a little bit more of an emphasis on Overwatch. But as we continue to grow and as we continue to reach more of the community, which even being able to interview with you right now gives us the opportunity to do, we can then get those answers and we can continue to evolve and cater to the esports community as a whole to provide them the best games they want to play.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, there's definitely a variety out there. So I think kind of catering to whatever people like is a very nice idea. So you kind of talked a bit about like events where you go to breweries. But I was also wondering, like, do you guys have any like programming that you guys did before COVID that
Yes.
kind of like stands out to you?
Well, we did a couple of open houses. We worked with Microsoft here on Long Island, and we did an open house. Just we invited all the high school principals, assistant principals, and parents to come out and give them a little bit of an introduction as far as who we are, what we're all about. And then we also did another event that we were quite proud of, was Mothers and Gamers event, where we partnered with a local nonprofit, Young Hip Professionals, and we invited mothers to kind of come out because if you think of esports, you may think it's a male dominated thing. And then sometimes the misconception as far as who are in our children's life the most, or who's most catering, sometimes you may assume a mother's. So look at that disconnect, right? So you have the guys who play the games, the mothers who cater to the children, but the mothers don't know much about their kids. All they know is that they're playing some video games. So we thought that was a very significant event to do mothers and gamers. So we were able to kind of educate some of the mothers, like, your son or your daughter is not just brainlessly playing these video games. There's some real opportunities here. And we also went over some of the different security measures that mothers or parents in general don't know about. So that was just something that we were quite proud of. Prior to getting into our tournaments, it was all, it's probably everything we do at our core will be educational based, but those were two things we did prior to, let's say, a more casual environment at the breweries. We did a lot of seminars.
Okay, so that's really cool. How did, like, if you don't mind me asking, how did that go, and like, how did the mothers and kind of the kids react to that type of seminar?
They were utterly surprised. They were super surprised the amount of interaction when they started talking their child's language, and so we had like little games set up, and then we had them all play against each other. So we used Rocket League for that instance, and we had the children play their parents in a game of Rocket League. Now, of course, we just randomly picked it, so ideally none of them really knew how to play Rocket League, but they were able to play together, and they played as a team. And that really surprised a lot of them because they never thought about playing the video games with their child. They never really listened to what their child may know about the actual industry. So we found that, one, them knowing that there are security measures because they're worried about the toxicity that's on there. How do I protect my child? So we were able to educate them on that, and then just watching them actually play the games together was which was really cool. And I think they got a really big kick out of that, playing with their child, because they weren't expecting that. It wasn't kind of in the guidelines of, hey, when you come here, this is what you're going to do. It was kind of like, we have a surprise, and they turned out to be very happy with that surprise, and we think it helped build the bond.
I definitely think so. I mean, that sounds really awesome. A really awesome opportunity for those families too. So that kind of had to happen pre-COVID. So kind of getting into our current times, how are you guys operating, maybe putting on events during COVID?
So the way we've shifted pre-COVID is we do have a online community, and it's open for all gamers, throughout the world, or especially here in Long Island, where you become a member of our community, and then whatever tournaments we throw, you can enter and play in our tournaments for free. We do believe that the esports industry, it is expensive. From buying a game could be up to 60 something dollars. A chair could be $500. So you name it. So these gamers don't really have a break in doing something that they love. So what we decided to do was create a community, and it's like, well, if you're part of our community, then you could enter in any of our tournaments for free and still have that fun camaraderie. And we would also give away a prize pool. And that's what we do in our bi-weekly Madden tournaments, where we're giving away roughly about $500 every other week for Madden if you're playing Xbox or PlayStation. So we're able to do that. And if you're a member, you get to play for free. And then if you're not a member, then it's like a minuscule fee that we charge for you to participate. But all in all, we kind of do that in order to give to the community, stay relevant, and give them something to look forward to. Versus when COVID happened, tournaments kind of went sporadic, where you hear about one, you don't hear about one. And we wanted to make sure that we provided that consistency, that, hey, you know what to look forward to every other week. The Long Island Game League is going to be throwing some type of tournament, and Madden happens to be that game. And then the other thing, I guess, to mention what we're doing outside of that, to go back to the educational aspect, is we are hosting an event in April, and that event is going to be a Q&As where we have about 5 local colleges and their esports head of directors coming on and answering questions for parents, academic officials, and students regarding esports. And this is also a charitable event for the National Multiple Sclerosis. So that's just another way that we're utilizing the separation to still hold events that are kind of true to our core. And also, we do care about the gaming community, and we want to support them in any way possible.
Yeah, that sounds like an event I'd like to actually attend, just see the college's takes on, what's coming up in the esports industry. So you kind of talked about how you had sporadic events, but now as COVID kind of has happened, you've kind of put together like a schedule for like a tournament every 2 weeks. Do you think you will maybe continue to go that route and maybe add more tournaments along the way in like a scheduled manner like that?
Yes, absolutely. As things continue, that's actually where we're going to start to develop the quote unquote league aspect of things, where we will have more consistent gameplay for gamers who want to participate, and they have something to look forward to. So we do plan on doing that and utilizing the relationships that we've built within the industry to kind of support those gamers who are inside of our, I guess our online community. If they want to be an NBA 2K player, right? We've made relationships with some of the people in NBA 2K. We may say, hey, you might want to check this person out. Somebody might be really good at Fortnite. So as the things continue to grow, we will be bringing out more games. And it might just be on a weekly basis, maybe 2 times a week, depending on how many people, I guess, get to know who we are and what we have to offer. Will really expand what we're trying to do overall for the esports community here on Long Island, and give value by offering them more tournaments that they can look forward to on a consistent basis.
That sounds great. So you kind of talked about you're going to have a panel with the college esports directors
Yes.
in April. Or do you have any other plans or like events coming up in 2021 though that you would like to speak about?
Not as of right now. I mean, we do have some, but we like to hone in, focus on the one ahead of us, knock out the ballpark, and then kind of plan the next one. But our one in April, we're extremely excited about that. It's a two-part actual event. The other part is it's Madden, so we're gonna have some NFL pro players who are gonna be like kind of the main card who are gonna compete. So if you like, if you are an NFL fan, you might be interested to see who's gonna be playing in a little tournament. And then we're going to have a lot of Madden pros who are familiar in the Madden world kind of compete in the undercard. So we did add that other aspect of where it's tournament, you can kind of watch. But then for those who don't know Madden or don't know that, we added the educational aspect. And right now, that's kind of like our main to do that we're really focused on. And anything else that we probably will work on will be updated inside of the online community as we continue to flush those things out.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a very big event, especially if you guys are getting like pros there
Yeah,
to do some stuff. So
we're
that
excited
sounds
about it.
really great. So here is my last question. Is there anything else you'd like to add regarding the Long Island Gaming League, and just stuff in general about gaming also?
I guess the last thing that I would like to add is, again, to give some clarity of who we are and what we're about. We put gamers first, and that is our biggest focus. And the gamers, whether they're young or they're old, we really care about them. And everything that we try to do, we try to cater to the gamer. So we're not trying to be tournament organizers, even though we'll do it, but we want to be able to help other tournament organizers or help other organizations to give value to their gaming community through our relationships. Like again, so we've been fortunate enough to work with some very nice sponsors who've given us stuff, who've gifted us stuff, and we want to be able to give that back to the gaming community. So, with that being said, if you are into esports, whether you're competitive or you're not competitive, but you're really looking for a supportive community that is really has your best interest at heart, then that's what the Long Island Gaming League is all about. And of course, esports is fun, so there's going to be a lot of fun within that. But just want to make sure everybody knows, like that's kind of like our focus. Like we do care about the gamers at the end of the day.
Great. And I think, thank you for clarifying, but that was very clear to me. You guys are like, seem like you have a ton of focus on, making the best community possible, and just providing a ton of events. So thank you so much for doing that on the Long Island community. So I'm just gonna end it right here. So again, this was Mr. Dennis Buchanan from the Long Island Gaming League. And this is Matthew Hughs from the Long Island Advocate, and I'm signing off.